gentlemen, welcome to the Edenton Town Council meeting regularly scheduled for the month of July. We have agendas in the back if you'd like to follow along with us, which will be our roadmap for this evening. So if you would now please stand with me and join in the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing if you wish for our invocation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity to gather here again on this beautiful summer night to do the town's business for the citizens of Edenton. We ask that you guide and direct us in that endeavor so that we may do those things that are both pleasing to you and helpful to us all. Amen.
Amen.
Okie dokie. Item 4 would be approval of minutes, special meeting from April 27, regular meeting from May 12, and joint special meeting of May 13th. Chair would entertain a motion to approve.
I so move.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the minutes of those dates. Any questions, comments, corrections? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no? All right. We have a public hearing scheduled for tonight, and it's relative to the Albemarle Regional Hazardous Mitigation Plan. And I will call on our most esteemed city manager to walk us through that, please, ma'am.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to stand at the podium so I can speak into the mic and hopefully everyone can hear me.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Councilman. As you know, through briefings that we have given you periodically, the town is required in order to be eligible to receive reimbursement money from FEMA in the event of a disaster. We're required to have a hazard mitigation plan. And the first time this requirement came into being was in 2000. There were some state statutes passed after North Carolina suffered several really large, devastating storms. And the town, I'm going to try to go through this not in depth as this PowerPoint is. Let me sort of skip ahead. You all know what mitigation is. It's efforts to make a situation less hazardous. A hazard mitigation, there's the FEMA definition of what that is. And we have done a lot of mitigation over the years. You will recall several years ago, we applied for and received funding to buy out a property that had suffered repeated flood damage on East Eden Street. And that was a major hazard mitigation effort that we undertook. As you know what our responsibilities are in terms of protecting the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens. And regional hazard mitigation plan is something that we have done. We have done a joint hazard mitigation plan with Chowan County since 2000. We did our first plan in 2000 together. Then we updated that in 2005. You've had public hearings, you've had input, you've had planning to continually to update our mitigation plan. Our last joint plan was in 2010, and after that, FEMA has changed the regs a little bit and has required communities to do a more broader regional plan. So this is the first time that we've had a larger, broader plan. And again, this talks about why the federal government is requiring this plan. We're grateful, and it's wonderful that the federal government does reimburse local governments when you suffer disaster, but they want to make sure that they're not paying money over and over again for the same repetitive hazard if that hazard could have been mitigated. So that's the crux of what this plan is all about. And again, in order for us to be eligible for not only reimbursement if disaster strikes, but it also helps us be eligible for other planning initiatives. This shows the region that we're in. For the benefit of the public, the regional plan is over 500 pages long, and the reason it's that big is because it includes the mitigation plans for all of the counties in our region: Hertford County, Gates County, Chowan, Perquimans, Pasquotank, Camden, Currituck, and Dare. And Dare, as you know, the hazards that they have to deal with are enormous and very different than the hazards that we have to deal with. So the document synthesizes all of the plans together. Oops, oh no. Okay. And not only are the counties responsible for participating, but each municipality. So we also worked with all of the towns within those counties. You can see the beach towns, and then the towns in Hertford County, the town of Hertford up the road, and Elizabeth City. Again, some more about the purpose. These are the hazards that were addressed in the plan. And again, the plan talks about ways that we can prevent damages, the way that we can protect property, and then also how do we protect our natural resources in times of storms and hazards. The key objective is looking at structural projects. And you can remember a structural project that we did in the not too distant past was elevate the storm sewer pump station on East Water Street. You remember during Hurricane Isabel, that pump station flooded, and FEMA gave us the opportunity to apply for a grant to elevate that, and that's what we did. And so we haven't suffered any more repetitive damage, thank goodness, from storm surge. I'm sorry. This talks about the planning process, which you all received several weeks ago, a summary. There's been planning meetings of all the planners. Sam actively participated in the development of the plan. There were several public hearings held in Currituck that were advertised regionally, and there was an effort to solicit comments from the public via public surveys. This outlines the work that was done to help develop the plan. Risk assessment was done. Capabilities, inventorying what do we have available to us, what are our capabilities that can help manage the mitigation, and what are the mitigation strategies. And then plan maintenance procedures. We'll be required to update this plan every 5 years, and we'll have to show evidence that at least once a year that the department heads meet collectively, probably jointly with the county department heads, and review the plan and make sure that we're doing all that we can to address hazard mitigation. Gates County took the lead. They were the they were the fiscal agent. They helped manage the grant, and the Wooten Company was the consultant that helped staff and manage the development of the plan. There's a lot of data collection, as you saw in our executive summary. Surveys looked at existing mitigation actions that have been taken, what new actions need to be taken, and then reviewing the public participation surveys. The federal government, as I said, funded the program, and we've had to work with the North Carolina Division of Emergency Management through the development of the plan. They have reviewed the draft plan. They've reviewed the plan that you have and have approved it. This is the work that the Wooten Company did. Again, talks about the process, the meetings. We all actively participated. Sam would meet with me periodically and review the strategies. He would get input from the department heads and then share that information at the stakeholders meetings. We're at the point where the plan is ready to be officially adopted. We were required to advertise a public hearing, and we put the copy of a link to the plan on our website. And after you have the public hearing tonight, Mayor, we certainly hope that the council will adopt the plan, and then we will have to transmit some documentation to the Wooten Company, and they in turn will transmit the information to North Carolina Division of Emergency Management. So that is the process that we went through. In your packet this week, in addition to the link to the 500-page document, we sent you about a 15-page summary of the town's mitigation efforts along with Chowan County, and you had received that also several weeks ago, so I know you're familiar with it. We sent it to all the department heads for a final review, and we're ready and look forward to hearing any public hearing, but we certainly hope that the plan will meet your approval and be ready for adoption so we can move forward and be eligible if disaster comes our way. We will have all of the paperwork and all the plans in place so that we'll be able to recover any local money that the town expends from recovering from the disaster.
Okay, council members, anybody have any questions of Anne Marie relative to the proposed mitigation plan that was just reviewed?
Well, I don't have any questions. I got a comment. I'll tell you, having had to work on one of these in the past, God bless them. I mean, you see the report, it's 500 pages or whatever. It's bureaucracy at its best.
Well, in keeping with that, but I got to say, the documentation of everything that goes into this is incredible.
It is.
I mean, the length of the site that you sent, I mean, the information that you gave us. I mean, if you read all of that, I'd still be at home.
Well, the good thing is it's not really your responsibility to read Dare County's hazardous mitigation plan.
I didn't want to miss it.
You had a slow weekend, didn't you?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Is this one structured like the electricity's one where all the participating counties have to sign on or it doesn't work?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And there was a lot of pressure when we were getting the draft ready to submit to the Division of Emergency Management to make sure that all of the all the participants had submitted their plans. It was crunch time for some.
Do you have information relative to the success of that in the other counties that are participating?
Well, in talking with Cord Palmer, and I should have mentioned our county emergency management coordinator also played a key role in helping to develop the project. My understanding is that all of the participants who were required to participate submitted the documents that met emergency management's approval. I think we're one of the first to have the public hearing. I think the public hearings have to be held by August. So I know Chowan County is going to have their public hearing the end of this month, and I think all the other counties will probably have theirs the 1st of August. So does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Curiosity has nothing to do with it, but when you had the grid or chart up with the counties and the towns, are there no incorporated municipalities in Currituck County?
They're not.
Really?
And until, what is Camden, Steve?
no,
But Camden is a city also, isn't it? Didn't they get special?
I don't
because they get a portion of Powell bill money now, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
They set up a nonprofit.
Is that-
Okay, thank you for your report. Ladies and gentlemen, we are required by statute to have the subject of the regional mitigation plan opened up for public comment, so I'll do that at this time. And if anyone here tonight has anything they would like to say in support of or in opposition to the plan as it has been presented and proposed, please take the podium, and all you would need to do for us is to state your name. So the floor is open. Okay, seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing relative to the Albemarle Regional Hazard Mitigation Plan, and the chair would entertain a motion to approve, what is it, a resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second to approve the plan as presented and send forward our resolution of support. Any further comments or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. All right, thank you, ma'am. And thank you, council. Now, moving to our committee reports. We have 3 committees to be heard from tonight, beginning with administrative, and that's chaired by Councilman Biggs. Please, sir.
Mayor, we only have one item on the agenda tonight, and it is recommended that the council adopt the amendments to the town's junk vehicle and abandoned vehicle code of ordinance as presented. And as y'all remember, this is just some new legislative material that we can add to our ordinance as it is. So I will put that in the form of a motion.
No, second.
Okay, very well. We have a motion and a second to upgrade our ordinance relative to junk vehicles and abandons. Questions or comments on the motion?
Just makes it that much easier.
It really does. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Thank you. All right, moving to Public Works, chaired by Councilman Stallings, please, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. We have 2 items on the agenda tonight. And the first one is that it's recommended that council adopt a resolution supporting the governor's Connect NC Transportation Plan. We discussed that at the last meeting, and I will put that in the form of a motion.
Second.
Motion and a second to support the the governor's Connect NC Transportation Plan. That is a bond referendum that is being proposed for the election that will take place in November. Any questions or comments? I'll make one comment. I was invited by the governor to go to the governor's mansion for a group, I guess you call it a PR event, photo op, but he stepped forward and with the support of a lot of others, not only administratively, but also from the legislature, as well as individual communities like ours and counties that are going to be the beneficiaries of the money that hopefully will be approved by the voters of North Carolina for this project. And we were all asked to go work the halls of government after the pictures were taken and so forth. So it's going to be interesting. There'll probably be some resistance, but if anyone here knows people in the position to vote on this, please contact them and express your support, because it would be a wonderful addition to our region. Highway 17, for example, would finally get the, Williamston, Washington connection. Highway 158 is involved. So there are a lot of good things in it regionally that hopefully will pass and get on the ballot. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. I usually forget that when I get
All right, the second
babbling
item,
up here.
I'm sorry. The second item we have, it is recommended the council approve the sidewalk agreement with NC DOT as it was presented. And I will put that in form of a motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the sidewalk agreement with NC DOT as presented. Is there anything we want to highlight in that, just for the public record?
Sure, Mayor. DOT, this is the last funding, and it's a shame that this type of funding is going away, because the town has worked in partnership with DOT over many years to add sidewalks. This particular project is going to connect sidewalks that stop and then start up again. We call it GAP, and that was a priority that was identified in your sidewalk and pedestrian master plan. And about a year ago, Councilman Biggs brought to our attention several gaps that needed to be filled in, and they just happened to be on state-maintained roads. And so we jumped at the chance to work with DOT to fill in the gap. One is located on NC 32 near Walgreens and Edenton Eye Care. Another one further down NC 32 where the sidewalk stops on the opposite side of the road. And then I think the other piece is on Coke Avenue, which you've been committed and been working slowly and surely over the years to extending sidewalk on Coke Avenue. So we're thankful for the partnership, and if we can continue to talk to our legislators about the importance of finding money for sidewalks on state-maintained roads, that's a real need.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments on the motion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Very good. 2 pluses. Okay, Finance Committee is next, chaired by Councilman Dixon.
We have one thing on tonight, and it's recommended that the council adopt the CDBG Jumbo Jumbo's project ordinance as presented. And I think we talked about that at our last meeting, and that's a really wonderful thing that's happening for the town of Edenton and for Jumbo's and for employment in the whole region. So I think we got a lot to be proud of in that. So I'll put that in the form of a motion.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second to adopt the CDBG Jumbo's project ordinance. Questions or comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. All right, very good. Moving now to new business, item 7 on our agenda tonight. Anne Marie, would you walk us through those ABCD 5 items, please,
I
ma'am?
will, Mayor. We have just about closed out June 30 fiscal year and have found a couple more budget amendments that need approval. We realized that when we adopted the project ordinance for the Golden Leaf grant, and we combined that with the building reuse grant that we received for SMA, we had it on the books in 2 separate places, and so we need to remove that from the general fund. We had the need for about $600 to be transferred into travel and training for the elected officials line item. We had money in the that was not expended in miscellaneous and administration, and then of course with our planner being away on leave, not having the salary to pay for his wages, and then not spending all that we had budgeted for professional services, and also not spending all in the nuisance code enforcement. We recommend that those dollars be transferred to parks and beautification in the salaries line item. And then also Randy brought to my attention that at the beginning of the fiscal year, we received an invoice from the funding agency for the small grant that we received for Bunch's produce stand. They received like a Healthy Carolinians grant, and that grant was a little bit unusual where the funding agency sends you all the money up front. Normally most grants are reimbursable, and it turns out that the project did not expend all that was all the money that was given to us, so we had to give a check back. We had to write a check back for $500. So I wanted to just get that recorded on the books properly. So that's in the general fund. Water and sewer, in terms of income, we received more money from penalties, and we received more money from the sale of scrap materials. We did not spend all that was budgeted in capital outlay for the water system or in the pump station capital outlay program line item. But, so we're recommending that you take that those revenues or those additional revenues and transfer to the water operations for the chemical and salt line item, for utilities in the sewage collection line item, and then also salaries in water and sewer line maintenance. And then in the airport fund, you will recall at our last meeting, we amended the budget because we were not expecting to receive a reimbursement from a grant from DOT, Division of Aviation, until after the fiscal year ended. That money came in, and so Randy is recommending showing that revenue as a receivable, and then also amending, we were a little bit over on salaries, $2,000, and also needed to balance out the maintenance and repair grounds item at the airport, some maintenance and repair at the terminal building, which I think had to do with repairing HVAC, and then also some repairs to the navigational aid system. So Mayor, those are the amendments that we recommend, and then we'll be able to officially close the books and be ready for the auditor to come, hopefully in early September.
All right, Chair will entertain a motion to approve the budget amendments as just reviewed.
I move.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. All right, thank you. Pre-event disaster recovery, please.
Doing a lot of planning and work regarding disaster preparedness. And I wrote to the mayor and council several weeks ago that we were in the process with the county. I think it's great that we work collectively with the county. We share the contractor for what we call pre-event disaster recovery assistance. And that contractor would be called upon in the event that a hurricane or some event came through here and we needed debris removed. In order to be reimbursed by FEMA, they require that this service be competitively procured and proposals solicited, and that you have a contractor pre-approved, lined up ahead of time with already firm set pricing. Because otherwise, if you're in a disaster,
You're not going to get them.
Well, you're not going to get them, or you're going to get them and you're going to have to pay a lot of money. You're not going to be able to pay reasonable and customary charges.
And that is a disaster.
And that is that's another type of disaster.
Yeah.
We solicited for the proposals back in April, and we only received one proposal, and FEMA, actually Division of, North Carolina Division of Emergency Management said that wasn't acceptable. We would have to re-solicit. So we re-advertised, and that's why we're running a little bit late. I normally would not have this contract on your committee meeting for action without having it on your council meeting without having it been reviewed by the committees. But we want to make sure that we have this in place prior to any disaster coming. So the second time we solicited proposals, we received 4, and William Davidson and Bud Powell and I reviewed the proposals along with our colleagues at the county, and we met collectively and reviewed them, and we all agreed that Crowder Gulf offered the best services with a good team of experienced folks. And I heard from Cord, actually the county manager shared with me that they ran through a template of a formula that FEMA provided in terms of what are good pricing, and Crowder Gulf of the 4 proposals came out the best. So we'd be getting a good value for the taxpayers' money. So we sent the contract to Hood, to your town attorney, to review for comment, and Hood was great. He reviewed it in record time, and he had he had some concerns and some questions, and unfortunately with the time frame I was not able to get all of the questions resolved I did send you, I think you saw a copy of an email where Crowder Gulf said they did not think there was anything that was raised that could not be addressed. But unfortunately, we don't have the final language agreed upon, so what I would ask is if you would agree to authorize the execution or award of the contract to Crowder Gulf pending Hood being satisfied with the final language. I don't know if you wanted me to go through the other three proposals. They were... Okay.
Crowders, who we had previously used it.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, we've used them.
They're good.
We had to activate them during Hurricane Irene, and we thought they did a good job for us.
Were they the ones that sent in, and you might have already said this, were they the ones that sent in the contract the first time?
Yes,
Yeah,
they
I figured
did,
they
yeah.
were.
They're great.
Yeah. They're very
So
good.
they were on the ball the first time and the second time, okay.
Were they more competitive the second time?
You know, Mayor, I didn't look.
Just
honestly,
curious.
yeah.
Trying to save the taxpayers a little money.
I move that we accept the proposal as written based on Hood's review and final wording.
Very good. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All right, motion and a second to accept the Crowder Gulf proposal for disaster removal. Any further questions or comments?
Well, and I would add, there's a lot of counties around us that use Crowder Gulf too. I mean, a lot of counties, so it's,
So if we have something regional,
they're gonna be,
a bunch of folks.
they're gonna be here with a lot of people.
They got the equipment to do it.
Wow, I'll say.
Other questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Thank you very much. Item D, please, ma'am. No, wait, C.
Mayor, tonight we have two items on your agenda pertaining to one of our new businesses, Albemarle Urgent Care, and Renee Sawyer is with you tonight. We received the formal grant agreement from the North Carolina Infrastructure Authority, and that agreement requires that the business commit to create 2 full-time jobs. Renee's business plan has her creating more than that, 7, maybe more jobs. And then also the grant will provide that $18,020, I believe was the amount, would be reimbursed to the town, to Albemarle, after she makes certain expenditures. And the grant agreement also requires a loan agreement and a legally binding commitment with the property owner, because the improvements are being made to the property. And if for some reason the jobs were not created or not maintained within the time frame that they're supposed to be, there's what's called a clawback provision, where the state would require us to go back to the property owner, because they're the ones that will receive the benefit of the grant. Their property is improved from the grant funds, and require us to get the property owner to pay the grant back, and then we would have to remit the funds back to the state. We certainly don't expect that to happen. The council has seen these types of agreements in the past. The property owner has executed the loan agreement and the legally binding commitment. Renee gave those to me tonight. Thank you, Renee. She is so organized and on the ball. Everything that we've asked in terms of grant administration, she has done on time and in good order. So thank you for that. So Mayor, we're asking that the council first authorize the grant agreement, and then secondly authorize the loan agreement and the legally binding commitment from Marlin LLC, and they are the property owner of the building that Albemarle Urgent Care is located in.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am, for that explanation, and thank you again, Renee, for your investment in Edenton. We greatly appreciate it. So one at a time then, the chair would entertain a motion first for the grant agreement with respect to Albemarle Urgent Care building reuse.
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second to approve. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. All right, and secondly, the loan agreement and legally binding commitment with the landowner. Chair would entertain a motion for that.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second to approve that as well. No questions or comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. All right, very well. Both those items are taken care of, and we'll move the paperwork forward, and that's it, right? Is that the last administrative piece? Well, again, congratulations and thank you for choosing our town for your urgent care facility. I think it'll be greatly utilized and appreciated over the years. Okey-doke. One more item, please, ma'am. Jimbo's Jumbos CDBG.
Yes, sir. As part of our grant with the state for the CDBG infrastructure project for Jimbo Jumbos, which you know is upgrading our water line and also upgrading a portion of our electrical distribution system. The grant is very complex, and it's federal money, so there's a lot of federal requirements, and they allow, the grant provides for funds for us to hire a consultant to help us administer the grant. And it requires that we solicit proposals.
Good.
I know.
So complex, they have to hire.
We were required to go through a similar solicitation that I recounted for you for the debris removal contract. And we solicited proposals. We sent out a master list. I think we sent out proposals to about 6 or 7 consultants. And then the state also required that we post the solicitation on the state website. And that posting generated 2 proposals that we had not directly solicited. Unfortunately, those contractors, I don't think they understood the project. They really didn't have, they had no CDBG experience, so they wanted to charge us the total amount of the grant to administer the grant. Just didn't make sense. So we had
I want some of that.
Yeah.
Bud Powell, our purchasing agent, and I reviewed the proposals, and I sent you a copy of the evaluation sheets, and we're required to review the proposals based on certain criteria. And we had 2 great competitive proposals, 2 that we pushed to the side. The Wooten Company and also Holland Land Planners. You're familiar with both firms. They do really good work. The Wooten Company actually helped us with the pre-application, so they are extremely aware of the project. They knew all of the details, and I think that obviously showed in their proposal. And their pricing was a lot more competitive than what Holland proposed. So we are recommending that you award the agreement to administer the grant to the Wooten Company in the amount of $24,200, I think was the amount not to exceed. And again, the grant will pay for that, so no out-of-pocket expense to the town.
Very good. Chair would entertain a motion to that effect.
I will so move.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second to accept the services of the Wooten Company to administer the CDBG's grant for Jimbo's Jumbos. Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. All right, very good. And that completes our new business agenda for tonight. We'll move now to those items considered timely and important. And before I ask you all if you have anything you'd like to share with us here tonight, I would like to confirm and therefore announce that the Hotel Hinton was sold this afternoon, and the project will move forward. In town today with the Saga Group, who, as you know, has been trying to put this deal together for the better part of 2 years. We had the architect that they've hired. Construction people were here, hotel management people were here, and of course the bank was in town to hopefully participate in the financing of this, but it was an enormous undertaking. We've all been frustrated by it in one way or another over the time that it's taken, but it was a very, very detailed and therefore complicated transaction to complete. But approximately 4:30 this afternoon, the attorneys called in and said that the transaction had been consummated. So next phase will be getting that team that they've assembled activated and hopefully begin work on the site here in the very near future. But it's a big accomplishment for the community. I'm glad we had the opportunity to participate with the lease of the parking lot that the town owns. So we can take some satisfaction that we participated in helping bringing this thing to fruition. So just wanted to make that known, and we'll all stand around and watch, see what happens next. But anyway, it's a done deal. Any other questions or comments? Timely and important?
Mayor, I got one.
Okay.
And I've brought this up several times, and it really has bothered me, and I don't know any other way to bring it up except to say I'm really, a little over a month ago, there was an accident in Elizabeth City that two young men were involved in. Riding bicycles, didn't have helmets on. And they were both shipped off to Norfolk. Thank God we got that facility. And the next afternoon, I saw two young boys in this town riding bicycles. Well, several of them riding bicycles, but two of them collided together, and neither one of them had helmets on. And I just think we are not protecting our citizens if we don't start enforcing our helmet law. It just makes me cringe every time I see, and I see a lot of it where I live, kids on bicycles without helmets on. And I'm talking little kids that probably need some adult supervision, but it's not there, and they're riding their bikes, and they don't have the helmets on. Now, I don't know if we got to buy the police department a pickup truck if that's the problem, because they can't load the bicycles up in the trunk of the cars and take the kids home. But we, as this board up here, we need to make sure that this is being taken care of. And I know this is the third time I brought this up. It really bothers me to see these kids not wearing helmets. And sooner or later, it's going to happen. God forbid, but it's going to happen. It's not going to be if, it's going to be when. And we're sitting here not taking responsibility of making it happen. There's programs out there that we can raise money to get the helmets. We've got some helmets. I don't know what we're going to do, but I think now it lays upon us to make sure that this happens. And I just see so many kids. You can go in this parking lot when we walk out of here, and you can go in this parking lot and just watch all the kids riding bicycles without helmets. And it's a law. And it's against the law if you're under 16 years old.
We have an ordinance against it.
We have an ordinance.
I mean,
We're not
it's a
enforcing the
case of enforcing it. And I have to agree with Steve.
And I hate to keep bringing it up, but if it's not going to get done, that's the only way I know to make something happen is to keep bringing it up. So I think whatever we got to do, we need to do it.
Mayor, we'll schedule this plan of action for you to review at the next committee meeting. We do try to enforce it. We have done a lot of enforcement. We can show you what we've done. But we need
I'd like
to do
to see
better.
that. I would love to see
We need to do
that.
better. We need to do better. And we need to make it a community effort. It just can't be the police. I mean, I see kids, I stop them, I'm like, hey, where's your helmet? You know, we all need to, it just
And I
can't
do
be the
too.
police. But I'm with you, we need to prevent, the law is the law, and a kid's life can be ruined for the rest of his life if he's hurt and injured. So we'll look at some other things that we can do, and we'll put together a plan of action for you to review at the next meeting. and look at ways that we can solicit help from other organizations and other community groups that care about our kids that can help us. Because we can't be everywhere all the time. But you're right, it's a serious matter, and we can do better.
Great point.
Yeah, as part of that, I'd love to see us look at, striping bike paths and the roads that are wide enough. Because I think that, you take these kids, you throw them off the sidewalk, and they're riding in the middle, in the road, and I think that's the most dangerous place they could be. And so I'd love to see us look at that as part of an option also.
Have you, in your plan of action, have you already contacted the school system as far as getting notification through to children of age? They probably have some way to blast out to all the parents and stuff.
Chief goes every year at the end of the school year and meets in every classroom and hands out a list of what our ordinances are that the kids need to be aware of. But we'll work with the schools. That's a great way. The sheriff department helps with bike rodeos, and the rec department has done a lot.
And I think one thing we could do, excuse me, I didn't mean to interrupt, but get a headline in the paper. We're going to start enforcing. That is, if Chief feels like they're in a position to do it. If you can't take the bicycle, well, I'm just saying that give a fair warning to the community that this is going to happen. I mean, it is happening. You're going to be stopped.
Okay, good point. Thanks for bringing that up.
Thank you.
Any other items timely and important?
Mayor, I have two tonight. And I hate to sound like a broken record, and Councilman Biggs is going to laugh at me. I know he is. I'll go ahead and say it in advance. But it is a darn shame that gas in Elizabeth City is 24 cents a gallon. 24 cents a gallon less than it is in Eden. And that is just unacceptable. It's ridiculous. There's got to be something we can do about that. I don't know. I don't have the answer. But there's got to be something we can do about that. Dare County, what did they had called in the Attorney General on theirs.
And we did too. After you brought it up a couple years ago, Hood wrote a letter to the district attorney, and the DA
That's right.
told us to write to the Attorney General's office, and they said there wasn't anything they can do. I'll check with Dare County. I remember reading some initiative.
Yeah.
I'm afraid they got the same answer that we did.
Don't you laugh, don't you even dare.
You telling
No.
the truth? It was 242 in the high school yesterday. I happened to be there.
Well, it was,
Yeah.
it was 243 in Elizabeth City
Yeah.
and 267 here. That's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I bought some in Tarboro yesterday, $2.47. And see, therein, here we go. I mean, we're saying here collectively that we are trying to buy gas outside of our community.
I don't buy any gas in Eden if
because
I can help it.
the price
I'll say
is-
it on public TV.
Yeah. The price is not competitive.
No.
Yeah, and,
I bought it at Walmart yesterday for $2.38.
yeah.
What time I want to go?
And that's unfortunate too, because those dollars accrue to our ability to promote
Absolutely.
through travel and tourism, and if they're being spent
It
elsewhere.
really does.
Yeah. It's,
And the second thing I have, Mayor, is, and I don't know if this is our problem or if it's the state, Anne Marie, but the striping by the stoplight at the Shell station, by your place of business, that really needs to be striped badly. I've had several people to say something to me about it, and I've watched it. People being in that outside lane, and when they come together,
Yeah.
they go right over there, and it's dangerous. It really needs to be restriped badly.
Yeah.
It is. And we got an email, actually, Lori Ann sent us an email about crosswalks at that
Yeah.
intersection, and we have asked DOT to paint crosswalks and to improve, to repaint the traffic lanes
So
in
that
that
is DOT.
intersection. Yes, those are DOT, and in fairness to DOT, when we brought it to their attention the last time, it was in the middle of the winter, and they can't apply that paint in cold conditions. But I did speak
It
with...
certainly isn't the case now.
Right, I do. And I did speak with one of the DOT maintenance engineers, and I told him that we had a someone in town doing some business and mentioned to me that he was concerned, he saw people just trying to cross it. He said, I know you're talking about Edenton being a walkable community, but they couldn't walk across that street. So I explained all that to DOT, and he told me that they would do their best to have it done within 30 days. So that was last week. So
That was last
hopefully-
week? Okay, great.
Yeah.
Because it really is dangerous.
It is, it is.
That's all I have, Mayor. That's all I have to complain about tonight.
You did well.
They're good points. The gas thing, you might also recall, I wrote the CEOs of both Duck Through and Hess at your request. And that was at least 2 years ago. And got a reply from the Hess CEO and no reply from the Duck Through, because you all pointed out then that those same brands are being sold in other communities at the discounted price.
Absolutely.
Boy,
On both sides.
it's probably
of it.
not a discount, it's at probably market price, and
Yeah.
we're paying above market price.
Well, they
So-
tell you that they're making 3 cents a gallon, okay? Well, if they're making 3 cents a gallon on it at 243 in Elizabeth City, how much are they making on it per gallon in Edenton at 267? Is that a valid point?
I can't do the math that fast, but it's somewhere north of 20 cents.
Yeah.
Okay.
Shut up.
All right, anybody else have anything from the council side of the table? If not, I'll open the floor for public comment. Anybody here this evening would like to bring your concerns or questions or comments to the town council, please take the podium and identify yourself, and we'll be happy to hear what you have to say. Okay, seeing no one come forward, we'll close the public comment portion of our agenda, and all is left is a motion to adjourn. All in favor?
Second. Aye.
Okay, all right. Thank you all for coming tonight. Good meeting, a lot of positive stuff, and we'll see you back in August.